watching Wyln TV. We're your local network.
Now, from the area's leader in live local news, this is WYLN News, the area's #1 source of live local news and information in Luzerne, Schuylkill, Carbon, and Columbia counties. WYLN News starts now.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us on WYLN News. I'm Julia Wiegand. Jury selection was completed, and this morning, statements and testimonies were expected to begin in federal court for Sean Christies' trial in Scranton. The Schuylkill County man is charged with threatening President Donald Trump and other elected officials. Christie of McAdoo has been locked up since his arrest last year. He claims that he's been unfairly targeted by the government and has been representing himself in court. Multiple shots were fired early Tuesday morning in the city of Wilkes Barre. Police are looking for the person or persons responsible for firing rounds into an occupied home on North Meade Street around midnight. Authorities found that a basement window of the home was shot numerous times. A woman was sleeping in the basement at the time of the shooting, but no injuries were reported. This shooting incident is currently being investigated in Wilkes Barre. A mistrial was declared in a murder trial in Monroe County Court. The trial of Israel Berrios, Carolina Carmona, and Salvatore Roberts are accused of killing pizza delivery man Richard Labar in East Stroudsburg back in 2017. The mistrial was declared after a computer glitch was discovered that somehow affected the jury selection process. At this time, there's no word on when the rescheduled trial will be held. One state senator has just announced that he's switching parties. Senator John Udicek, who currently represents the 14th Senatorial District in both Luzerne and Carbon counties, announced Tuesday morning that he's becoming a registered independent. Udicek cites what he calls purist politicians who choose party over the good of the people as his main reason to switch affiliations. Udicek was previously registered as a Democrat before deciding to make this switch over to independent. Police caught up with a robbery suspect who was involved in a September 26th incident in Wilkes Barre. 37-year-old Jarrett Edmonds was arrested without incident Monday after he and another suspect allegedly committed a robbery at the Best Western Plus on Market Street. Edmonds was charged with flight to avoid apprehension, robbery, recklessly endangering another person, and harassment. He was taken to Luzerne County Prison after he was unable to post bail. Police are still looking for Roger Howell, who was also charged with the robbery. A trial date has been set for a Sugarloaf woman accused of paying to have her stepfather killed. 25-year-old Kendra Diaz is facing counts of solicitation for homicide and conspiracy to commit criminal homicide. The charges came from earlier this year, almost 4 years after the death of her 49-year-old stepfather, Donald Bachman, outside his home back in May of 2015. Police say Diaz paid an unknown person $1,500 to gun Bachman down. Diaz was arrested in the spring, but has been out on $500,000 unsecured bail since. The trial date for Kendra Diaz is set for February 3, 2020. The case for a man sentenced to death for killing one state trooper and wounding another is asking the Supreme Court to hear his case. Eric Frayne's attorney, Michael Wiseman, said in court papers that Frayne's death sentence was unconstitutional because the emotional testimony prosecutors presented was far beyond what's permitted by law. He also wants Frayne's sentence overturned because he was denied his right to an attorney when he was first questioned. The Supreme Court hears only a small amount of cases each year, so it'll decide whether or not to hear Frayne's appeal after Pike County District Attorney Ray Tonkin files a reply. Frayne was convicted of first-degree murder and other charges back in April of 2017 for killing a state trooper and wounding another outside the Blooming Grove Barracks, September of 2014. Route 54 in Schuylkill County was closed for a period of time yesterday due to an overturned garbage truck. The tractor-trailer hauling garbage was traveling on Route 54 near Hometown when it overturned. Garbage was spilled in both lanes, causing the roadway to be shut down. The driver was taken to an area hospital for treatment. There is no word at this time as to the extent of his injuries. The City of Hazleton will use a grant to hire a new director of personnel. Now, according to Mayor Jeff Gassat, the position will come from the transfer of salaries of 2 other positions to different departments to get the best use from existing staff. The city received a $40,000 grant through its Act 47 financial recovery program for the director personnel position, which is included in the 2020 budget proposal. Council members still have to approve budget ordinances before officially adopting the proposed $13.8 million budget. Coming up on WYLN News, national advocates are pushing for a fairer probation system in the Commonwealth, plus a recall on cottage cheese. But first, let's take a look at our 7-day forecast. Well, Wednesday looks mostly cloudy, high of 42 and a low of 31. And as goes for Thursday, high of 46, low of 38. Friday and Saturday look a little dreary, but at least Friday the temperatures rise up a little bit. We'll be right back.
CARES is a local and family-owned agency dedicated to providing exceptional services for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities throughout Pennsylvania. CARES specializes in day and residential services, respite, home and community, behavior supports, and chaperone vacations. At CARES, the participants are the VIPs. CARES, empowering individuals to maximize their opportunities and potential in their community.
Life is full of partners. Your health deserves a partner too.
Krugel's Georgetown Deli and Beer is more than just a great place to grab 6-packs to go. You can also enjoy great draft beer, including their exclusive 3 Ornina milk stouts. Take it to go in a crowler, or mix and match bottles of your favorite craft beers. Or just cool down with one of their slushies. Check out the Georgetown Pub Fare menu, including their Flight and Bites with your choice of sauces and 5-ounce draft beers. Stop in and play Keno or other Pennsylvania Lottery games. Don't forget to check out their website and Facebook for tasting events. Krugel's Georgetown Deli and Beer in Wilkes Barre Township, right next to the Big Cow.
Wilkes Barre City Council has canceled their meeting for today. The executive session planned to discuss the proposed sale of its city sewer system was canceled by council after concerns over the meeting potentially violating the state's Sunshine Act. The sewer system will instead be discussed in public during tonight's City Council work session. Today's work session follows a hearing that got underway at about 5:30 tonight about the city's 2020 budget. Governor Tom Wolf will sign legislation allowing hunting on 3 Sundays a year in Pennsylvania. Senate voted 38-11 on Wednesday. The bill permits Sunday hunting 1 day during rifle season, 1 during statewide archery deer season, and a 3rd day that the Game Commission selects. The long-fought issue overcame opposition from farmers and outdoor groups. Pennsylvania has banned Sunday hunting since the 19th century, although there are currently several exceptions. Hand-counting paper ballots was put to an end Monday in Carbon County as their election board expects to certify the election by Friday. The board was forced to hand count and use a high-speed scanner to count ballots after they discovered an issue with their tallying system back on election night. The issue forced a manual count of tapes printed from voting machines through the early morning of November 6th. The county released those numbers that morning, but some irregularities were found, especially in the clerk of courts race, where 358 votes were unaccounted for. The County Republican Party filed a petition last week to stop the hand count and high-speed scan of the ballots, stating the recounts were not following procedure. The County Election Board will reconvene Friday at 11 a.m. at the election office in Jim Thorpe. A compromise package to raise Pennsylvania's minimum wage for the first time since 2009 is advancing in the legislature. Governor Tom Wolf is up against a deadline to relent on his efforts to extend overtime pay eligibility to thousands of workers. A Senate committee passed a measure Monday to raise the minimum wage in 4 steps to $9.50 by 2022. At this time, Its prospects in the Republican-controlled House of Representatives are unclear. It's said, though, that the bill is more modest than what Wolf proposed back in January. And speaking of Wolf, Governor Tom Wolf joined with national advocates in Harrisburg yesterday to push for a fairer probation system within the Commonwealth. Governor Wolf was joined by Deputy Secretary of Corrections Christian Stevens and national criminal justice reform advocates in the Capitol Rotunda to push for common-sense probation reforms that address probation sentences and probation lengths.
Employers are losing much-needed workers. Families are losing loved ones. And taxpayer money is being wasted on a system that is not improving lives or reducing recidivism. We need to end the practice of forcing Pennsylvanians to spend decades jumping through hoops and institute hard caps on the length of time a person can be on probation. We need to stop throwing people into jail for minor probation violations like missing an appointment, and instead find fitting, productive responses like connecting people to treatment when they fail drug tests.
Probation was created to assist Pennsylvanians in creating stability in their lives. Instead, however, the governor said the state's excessively long sentences and cumbersome rules are causing Pennsylvanians to lose their jobs.
I'm already having some great discussions with members of the legislature on our next steps, and I'm optimistic that by working together we can create a fairer criminal justice system, one that gets Pennsylvanians back on track to productive and successful lives. Rural, urban, left, right, Republican, Democrat, we all have a joint interest in making sure that our criminal justice system is as fair as it could possibly be.
According to the Department of Corrections, 1 in 35 adults in Pennsylvania is under some form of post-incarceration supervision. That number has increased, while over the last 4 years under the Wolf administration, the state's crime rate has decreased, along with prison population and recidivism.
We understand the importance of partnering with partners in the community around reentry efforts. The barriers that keep people from being successful around reentry are the same ones that existed a while ago, and they continue to exist: housing, employment, transportation, and addiction.
The National Director of Reentry Initiatives at Right on Crime and Executive Director of Safe Streets and Second Chances, John Kufos, spoke on the innovation in Pennsylvania and the eyes on the Commonwealth as it considers this probation reform in particular. Advisory Council Chair of Safe Streets and Second Chances, Mark Holden, believes in those second chances.
We must particularly focus on second chances, rehabilitation, redemption, and restoration. And that's really important. It's what makes communities and families better and safer and stronger.
Pennsylvania is one of just 8 states in the country where probation can last up to the maximum sentence of an offense. If you've recently bought cottage cheese, you may want to check to see if it's on a recall list. Breakstone has voluntarily recalled around 9,500 cases of cottage cheese that may contain possible plastic and metal contamination. Those products being recalled are listed up on your screen right now. The company has received 6 complaints, though there have been no reports of injury or illness. The Food and Drug Administration said the problem was discovered by a consumer. Anyone with questions can call 1-866-572-3805 on weekdays from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Coming up on Tuscarora's News Choice, we talk scams on this Trooper Talk Tuesday in Community and You. Plus, over $2 million wagered in sports bets last month at Mohegan Sun Pocono. Stay with us.
At Grand Central, our family has been supplying your family with quality brand name furniture, mattresses, and appliances for over 3 generations. Whether you choose from our excellent selection of Lazy Boy, Catnapper, or England furniture, or from our fantastic selection of Sealy and Stearns & Foster mattresses, we guarantee total comfort in every room of your home.
With expert advice,
everyday low prices,
plus interest-free financing for up to 60 months.
From our family to your family.
Grand Central in Hazleton. Everything to make your house a home.
Is your computer not running as good as when you purchased it? Good news, take it to Hazleton's only retail and repair shop, Hazleton Computer Incorporated. They will get it running like new again. Located at 50 West 23rd Street in Hazleton, next to Churchill Auto Sales.
Having an intimate gathering and don't want to wrestle in the kitchen? Call Whitetail and ask about their food-to-go catering menu. They'll do the cooking, you relax, and entertain your guests. Call Mike at 570-535-6123.
Did you know that WYLN News provides news updates every weekday afternoon
At 1, 3, and 5 here on TV and on social media?
Did you also know you can watch WYLN News on the go by visiting our website or YouTube page?
Now more than ever,
WYLN is your local news leader.
Welcome to Trooper Talk Tuesday here on WYLN. Everyone, I'm Gary Perna. I'm with Trooper Anthony Petrowski from Pennsylvania State Police, Hazleton. And we've talked about this so many times, but it's worth us talking about it again because we're seeing it more and more, scams. And we're seeing it on a whole new level. People are being scammed just about every day here in our area, and we just want you to know to think before you do anything. If it sounds a little fishy, it probably is, and we're seeing this at a rapid pace. Now, Trooper Petrowski, we've all heard of the phone scams, the IRS scams, you know, my grandchild is in trouble scam, and you're asked to send money or something. But if it doesn't sound quite right, it probably isn't.
Correct. And you know what? These people who are doing the scams, it's unfortunate, but it's almost like a business. And they're very good at talking. And what they do is once they grab a hold of you and you start answering their questions and feeding into it, they just keep doing it until they get what they want, and they want your money. If you're unsure of something, hang the phone up. If it's somebody that is legit, very important, they'll call you back. Don't just automatically give in. If anybody ever asks for payment in gift cards, that's a scam. Gift cards are not traceable. So that's why these scammers, they request payment in gift cards. Run it by somebody. Run it by a neighbor, a friend, a family member. Hey, somebody called me. What do you think about this? Listen, the police don't call you and tell you you have a warrant unless you send X amount of money. The IRS doesn't call you saying you owe money. They do not do that. They've come out with many statements saying they don't do that. Hang the phone up. Don't be afraid to hang the phone up, because if not, they're going to keep calling you.
Recently, there was, and it makes me laugh, there was a video kind of went viral of a scammer calling a police officer, and they had recorded the whole thing. And it, you know, it kind of makes you think on, wow, like literally they're just dialing phone numbers and seeing who they get. But it's very important to know that if it's a business that you do business with or an organization, you know, they'll have some of your information. But 9 times out of 10, they're not asking for your social security number, your all this other type of personal information. And a lot of them don't ask for that over the phone.
No, they don't. And if you get a call saying it's from a certain business, which might be in the area, hang the phone up and call that business. Many times there's people who would go door to door saying they're with the water company, the electric company, and what they're trying to do is a distraction burglary. And when they're talking to you, somebody will go around the other end of the house and go in while they're having that conversation. So again, you don't have to open the door for everybody. If they're saying they're from the water company and you're not sure, call the water company. If they say we don't have anybody in the area, then call 911 so we can come and investigate.
I know one of the biggest things now, and every organization we talk to, when we see scams like this start to pop up, the water company, the sewer authority, the city officials, you know, ask them, you know, how do you know? How, if somebody shows up, how do you know? Most of them say, you know, we call first. We have identification. We're in uniforms. You know, big things like that to look out for. The second thing is when they're calling, everyone I've talked to says we don't really discuss some of that pertinent, really sensitive information over the phone. That's something that we want you to come to us with, or be in an area where you can have this conversation. So just paying attention and knowing. And the other one is just making sure that this is a company you really do business with.
Right. Ask questions. You pay your bills every month. You have the right to ask questions. And if somebody shows up at your door unannounced and they say they're from a company, you don't automatically have to open that door. Call the company. Call a neighbor, call a friend. If you feel unsafe or threatened, call 911. Again, we get these calls a lot. We'll come out and investigate. We want to make sure that the community's safe. Again, you don't have to open the door. Talk to them through the door, through a window. Say, I'm calling the company. If they leave, you know it was a scam. If they do leave, call us so we can investigate, because we don't want anybody to become a victim of a distraction burglary.
And as we start to get into kind of the fall winter season, a lot of scams we see start to pick up that deal with maybe last minute home improvement, last minute, you know, driveway sealing, stuff like that. So, you know, just do your homework and make sure you know who you're talking to, because if it's one person showing up and they're, you know, in shorts and a t-shirt, may not be an actual company. And a lot of times companies don't solicit for work. You need to call them.
Correct. And don't feel pressured into giving an answer or giving any money. That's the biggest thing with these type of scams, where people go to door and they say, well, I have some extra materials, I could do it, but I have to do it now. Don't feel pressured, okay? Again, talk to somebody about it, go in the house, don't be afraid to shut the door on them and lock the door. Don't feel pressured, and don't just give money to anybody.
All right, so just pay attention. If you think there's something that's just not right, probably isn't, call the police, call a neighbor, go, hey, did this happen? Did somebody stop at your house? And just use caution when you're out there. Unfortunately, this is the world we live in today, where we need to be on our toes 24/7, but just use your best common sense when dealing with scammers like this. Thanks for joining us, everyone, on Trooper Talk Tuesday. We'll see you next time here on WYLN.
You've seen university advertising. A student like me pitching you the same old ideas. But I'm not gonna do that.
Instead, I'm gonna tell you what you can do with a Penn State degree. You can help anyone. Go anywhere. Create! And with 20 campuses to choose from, you'll always feel at home.
Look, Penn State is amazing, but your best years are just beginning. Come find out for yourself.
Hi, I had a very minor fender bender tonight in an unreasonably narrow fast food drive-thru lane. Don't worry, I have everything handled. I already spoke to our Allstate agent, and I know that we have accident forgiveness, which is so smart on your guys' part. Like the fact that they'll
4 weeks without the car.
Okay, yep, good night.
With accident forgiveness, your rates won't go up just because of an accident. Switching to Allstate is worth it.
Visit your local Allstate agent, the McNeilis Agency in Hazleton at 1092 North Church Street, or in Hometown in the Hometown Village Square.
This week on Talking NEPA, we're talking all about St. Luke University Health System's Miners Campus in Coaldale. We'll talk about the recent expansion that happened at the hospital and their new rural health system that they have in place. All that coming up this week on Talking NEPA, only on WYLN.
Whether you're driving only a few miles or making the long-distance trip this Thanksgiving holiday, everyone needs to stay safe and watch out for the roads. WYLN's Julie Stefanovich has more.
State agencies in Pennsylvania are coming together to remind people who will be traveling for the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday to use caution and get to their destination safely. The Click It or Ticket campaign begins on Monday, November 25th and runs through December 8th. Police will also be on the lookout for impaired drivers.
Throughout Operation Safe Holiday, law enforcement will also crack down on impaired drivers, beginning on Thanksgiving Eve, November 27th, and running through the New Year's holiday. We are asking motorists to keep themselves, their families, and other motorists safe by designating a sober driver or not driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs, ever.
As the Pennsylvania State Police kick off Operation Safe Holiday, their mission is to get a message out to the public about safe driving.
Drivers can do their part by pledging to slow down, buckle up, and never drive while impaired. Please designate a driver, take a cab or rideshare, or establish another plan to get home safely if your holiday plans involve alcohol.
And to keep the youngest travelers safe on the roads, troopers will offer free child passenger safety seat fitting clinics at several locations throughout the state. The Pennsylvania Turnpike also expects to see over 3.6 million customers over the long Thanksgiving holiday.
If you're traveling during peak times, you can expect situations where traffic flow is slower. You can expect situations where even minor crashes result in long delays. So I recommend that if you are involved in a crash, and you can move your vehicle off the roadway, you do so and get it to the shoulder. Call star 11 from a cellular phone on the turnpike, and that'll put you in direct connection with our traffic information center.
So before you leave for your trip, you can check travel conditions by visiting 511pa.com, which is free and available 24 hours a day. Reporting for WYLN News, I'm Julie Stefanovich.
Thanks, Julie. More than $2 million was wagered in sports bets at Mohegan Sun Pocono last month, and that's according to numbers released Monday by the Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board. The Plains Township Casino opened its sports betting lounge back in September and brought in $305,697 in sports wagering revenue in October. According to the Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board, October's sports wagering taxable revenue from both retail and online outlets was more than $14.9 million. Since the Gaming Expansion Act of 2017, sports wagering is now offered at 12 locations, and online casino games are now available at 5 sites in Pennsylvania. And that's the news. Remember, you can get news updates on our Wyln News Facebook page. Stay with us. A look at today's weather is next, here on Wyln TV.
All Care Home Care, providing quality in home care since 1986. Call and see how their team of licensed physical therapists, skilled